Ever thought a basketball team could be worth more than an NFL team?
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Today we're going to dive into that exact idea.
Okay.
You're joining us for a deep dive into the recent sale of the Boston Celtics. It was a $6.1 billion deal.
Wow.
And we've got some great info from a Bloomberg Intelligence podcast with some really smart folks in the sports biz, Scott Soshnick from Sportico especially.
Oh, nice.
So our mission for you today is to kind of understand the crazy factors that are driving this kind of valuation in the NBA,
Okay.
especially when compared to other major sports leagues.
Right.
And, right out of the gate, this team, they don't even own their own arena.
They don't own their arena.
Yeah, which makes it, even more fascinating.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that all breaks down.
Yeah.
What makes it so valuable?
Yeah,
So, I mean, the first thing that jumps out is the sheer number.
right.
Bill Chisholm's group paid $6.1 billion to get the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
That is not just a lot of money. It's the most ever paid for a professional sports franchise.
Oh, wow.
More than what the Washington Commanders went for in the NFL.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, considering that the NFL is usually seen as like the top dog financially,
Yeah.
this is a really big deal for an NBA team.
So let's break down this $6.1 billion figure a little bit.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a simple, here's the money, here's the team kind of deal, right?
Right.
There's more to this.
So the initial investment was based on, yes, a $6.1 billion valuation.
Okay.
But the agreement has this second part where the rest of the ownership will be transferred
Okay.
in 3 years. And that's valued at $7.7 billion.
Oh, wow.
So when you look at the big picture, the overall value is closer to $6.6 billion.
Okay.
That's a pretty big jump in 3 years. It shows how much they believe in the future of the Celtics in the NBA.
Now, I think this is where it gets really interesting for our listeners, right? Because a deal this big really tells you something about where the NBA is right now in the world of sports, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
This is like a signal. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, other owners, they're all very happy about this.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And it makes sense, right? Because a record-breaking sale like this,
Yeah.
it makes all the other NBA franchises more valuable too.
Right. Yeah.
It raises the bar for everyone.
Right. Sets a new standard.
Especially since the NBA is thinking about expanding,
Yeah.
maybe to Seattle, maybe Vegas.
Oh,
A
yeah.
huge sale like this makes those places even more appealing for the league.
Okay, so now, for our listeners, you might be thinking, wait a minute, basketball, more expensive than American football, more than global football.
Yeah.
At first glance, that might be surprising, right?
Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense on the surface.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is what's driving these values,
Right.
Media rights.
Media rights.
That's the big thing. The NBA just got almost 3 times as much money from their new deal with Kerner and ESPN.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a lot of guaranteed money for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes owning an NBA team way more appealing.
Right, it's reliable income.
Exactly.
It just boosts the whole image of the league.
It's more than just the money, it's the attention.
Yeah.
More people watching means more sponsors, more growth.
And this is where, it gets even more unique with the Celtics, right?
Okay.
Iconic brand, no question.
Uh-huh.
But they don't even own TD Bruin.
They don't?
No, the Jacobs family owns it.
Oh, wow.
The same folks that own the Bruins.
Okay.
So the $6.1 billion, that's just for the team?
Just for the team.
Just the brands, the Celtics themselves.
So it's not like those other big sports deals where you get the stadium and all that, right?
No, not at all.
This is purely the team, the players, the coaches, the history, the brand, everything that makes the Celtics the Celtics.
It's amazing, right?
It's like buying the soul of the team.
Yeah.
But then you have to ask, how do you get even more value out of a team that's supposed to lose $70 million this year?
Yeah.
I mean, they're good on the part, but
Financially, it's a head-scratcher a little bit.
yeah.
So who is this Bill Chisholm?
Okay, so Bill Chisholm, he's a co-founder of STG Partners,
Okay.
investment banking background, Payne Weber.
Okay.
But here's the interesting part.
Okay.
He's from Boston, grew up a Celtics fan.
Oh, wow.
Larry Bird was his favorite player.
That's cool.
He even went to Dartmouth, so you can see the personal connection.
Yeah, there's a real passion there.
Right. But as far as we know, his experience in the sports business isn't that extensive.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
So were there any other potential buyers out there? Like, I know Steve Pagliuca was interested, right?
Yeah, Steve Pagliuca, he's already a part owner of the Celtics, but as a limited partner now,
Okay.
he was definitely interested in buying the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like he didn't want to pay $6 billion.
So his valuation was lower?
Exactly. So no bidding war or anything. Chisholm's offer was basically what the sellers wanted.
So I imagine the NBA, like the league itself, they must have been really happy to see this deal go through at this price, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, for the league, a high franchise value means a lot.
Okay.
First, it makes the current owners happy.
Yeah, I bet.
Their teams are suddenly worth more.
Makes sense.
Second, remember how we talked about expansion?
Mm-hmm. Seattle, Vegas?
Right. This sale sets a really high price for those new teams.
Oh, smart.
So the league can make a lot more money from expansion.
So it strengthens the whole league, basically.
Exactly. Makes it more attractive for future investors.
So we know the sports media landscape is constantly changing.
For sure.
We're seeing some issues with regional sports networks, especially in baseball and hockey.
Yeah.
You know, with all the cord cutting going on, it's a tough time for those leagues.
Mm-hmm.
But the NBA seems to be doing fine.
Yeah, they are.
Why do you think that is?
Well, for starters, the NBA has really strong national media deals.
Okay.
Kind of like the NFL. They're not as dependent on local media.
So they're more insulated from those trends, basically.
Exactly. But here's what's really interesting.
Okay.
The NBA is really good at adapting to the new media landscape.
Okay, how so?
They're trying out things like microtransactions where you can buy just a part of a game.
Oh, wow.
They're really strong on social media.
Yeah, that's true.
And most importantly, they're global.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how popular basketball is in China and Europe.
Mm-hmm.
They're even talking about an NBA league in Europe.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
So it's not just about watching a whole game on TV anymore.
Right, they're branching out.
The NBA is getting their content everywhere, reaching fans all over the world.
So they're not just relying on the old way of doing things.
Exactly. And they're way ahead of the NFL in that regard.
So now, bringing it back to the Celtics,
Okay.
they don't own the arena. So where do you think the new owners are going to try to get more value?
Well, if they can't make more money from the arena, they have to look elsewhere.
Right.
So they'll probably focus on that global audience.
Yeah, makes sense.
More digital stuff, maybe more online content, new ways to engage those fans all over the world.
So really leveraging that international interest in the Celtics.
Exactly. And don't forget, the NBA is limited in terms of teams.
Right, limited supply.
So that drives up the value too, especially with those potential new teams in Seattle and Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
People will pay a lot for a piece of that action.
So to kind of sum it all up for our listeners, the $6.1 billion for the Celtics, even when with the arena, it shows you the power of those national media deals.
Absolutely.
And the worldwide appeal of the NBA.
Global reach is key.
It's not just about owning buildings anymore.
No.
It's about the brand and the fans.
Exactly.
And what's really fascinating, if you connect this back to the bigger picture, is that what makes a sport franchise valuable is changing. It's less about stadiums and more about connecting with fans globally using digital platforms, you know?
It's a new era for sports.
Yeah.
And the Celtics sale is a perfect example of that.
So for those of you who are always trying to learn new things, hopefully this deep dive has given you some insight into what's happening in the world of sports business.
Yeah.
Now, here's something to think about.
Okay.
The Celtics don't own their arena,
Right.
but they still went for $6.1 billion. So what does that tell you about the future of sports?
It's a good question.
Is it all about the brand and reaching those global fans online?
Something to think about.
Yeah, definitely something to consider no matter what you're interested in.
For sure.
Because the world is changing.
It is.
And sports is changing right along with it.
It is.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.